Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right, starting off today, we've got another interesting interview with Tony Gilroy talking about Andor, some writing, production stuff, lessons he learned, and teasing a little something special about Season 2.
More special than Season 1?
We shall see.
Eventually we will.
Yes, we did.
I hope. Let's hope nothing weird happens and they cancel it. Or
No, it's too
Please,
late for
no.
that. Filming starts in
Weeks.
7 days.
Yeah, less
7 days, and then filming will start.
Isn't that The Ring or something? Like 7 days you're gonna...
We're not talking.
Something happens when you watch
No,
the
we're
VHS?
not. No.
Okay.
Well, yes, but no. So he did a deep dive interview with Collider, where he discussed the making of the show's first season, how he feels its lengthy development improved the final product, as well as what we can expect in the show's second season.
What, sometimes taking your time leads to quality?
What?
Somebody get a time machine.
No.
We're going back. We're saving the sequels.
From the interview, we can kind of glean that the series' second half is going to feature more tie-ins with pre-existing canon, as well as legacy characters from some other projects. I mean, this makes sense. We're leading right into Rogue One.
Yeah.
We've got A New Hope. Rebels will be going on at the same time.
Yeah, which involves Mon Mothma and Saw
It
Gerrera and some of these other
does.
characters already.
I mean, we could be seeing,
Could we see Rebels characters crossing into Andor? Especially since they're going to be in Ahsoka. Why not?
if they're recording on another stage, you could just be like,
As
hey,
long as it
can you
makes
pop over
sense.
here?
I'm not saying do it just to do it. I'm saying if the story calls for it and it makes sense and it flows, go for it. But don't just oh, look, Hera is in the background. And
It'll be
gonna
one of
say
those
hello.
weird things where Hera's just walking through the background and people will be pointing it out and he'll be going, that's who that was?
Yeah. Kind of like the Luthen shop. It's like,
Yeah.
what's in the back? What did they put in the back? What did the props department do? Damn them.
The interviewer first started off by asking him what it would take to convince him to do more Star Wars projects after he finished his Andor.
I feel like that's a collective question from a good chunk of the fan base, certainly. I know there are people who don't like it, but I think a lot of people are really enjoying it in the fandom and would like to see him come back and do something else.
He said, it's another 2 years from now before I'll be done. It's just such a supreme drag to hear people who are in the movie business and being paid well and doing what everyone wants to do. But it's a effing lot of work, man. It just never ends. Every day, it doesn't stop. Literally working on 2 dairy farms. Everyone has to be milked every day. It doesn't stop. It's just simply too much to consider anything else. I can't imagine what I'll do other than curl up in a fetal position when this is over, man.
That is an interesting way to put it. I wonder if that's one of those things you say and you're like, maybe you could have worded that differently.
I love the way he words things. It's always entertaining.
I prefer when people are kind of blunt instead of trying to...
I love that he says man all the time, like
Come
somebody
on,
out of the
man.
70s. Come on,
Yeah.
man. He says, I want to live through it. We want to maintain the standard. We want to stay as obsessed. We don't want to take our foot off the gas. We want to do something better and even more. We want to go further if we can. I can't possibly imagine what I would do after this. I really can't. It's too hard.
Well, I mean...
I'm glad he's focused, though.
Yeah. I'll say this. If he's burnt out after and, dangle a bunch of money in front of him, assuming Andor is, something they consider worthy to be duplicated, which I hope they do. I mean, if he's just going to come in and, I'm tired, I don't want to do this, I feel like I've been milked too much.
Well, then it's good he's not doing 5 seasons,
Yes, exactly.
I don't want to get burnt out after couple of seasons in, and now we're getting subpar Andor.
Yeah, I don't want him to, do a Game of Thrones where we get to the later seasons. I just want to be done. I don't care about the story. There's where I'm unlocking fast travel, dragons. It's going to be cool,
No, I'm glad that he is so focused on this.
Yeah.
That he's not already looking for the next thing, that he's staying focused on this project.
That's I give Kennedy credit for that, for at least saying that that's what they need. They need people who are going to come in and be focused, not okay, 3 years from now, I'll have an opening, I'll have 2 weeks, I can make you a movie, and then I'm on to something else.
Bingo. Gilroy then kind of spoke about how he hopes Andor will inspire future creatives to reconsider the kinds of stories that can be told within the Star Wars universe. The interview asked him what lessons he's learned while working on the first season that he'll carry into production of the second. He kind of stresses the importance of having completed scripts ready.
What? Know what you're doing before you start doing it?
Mm-hmm. This is the kind of quote where he starts dropping a little bit of potential hints and stuff. We have to make everything. We have to design everything. We're so much more conscious. And I think it gets a little spooky sometimes when you realize you have to design absolutely everything you're going to do. And that's daunting. There's no shortcut to that. And there's no shortcut to getting stage space. Sometimes we're really just limited. My God, there's no more stages. I'd like to do that, but we can't do that because I can't get another stage. There's no more stages available. We can't do it because also it's a lot more difficult to book actors now because everybody's much more complicated. We're getting into legacy characters now as well. It's very complicated to get everyone to book out and book everybody's schedules. Everybody's very busy. Nobody knew we were going to have this many characters when we started. My fault.
My bad.
So juggling all of this, if you can imagine what an air traffic controller and scheduling is around here, it's pretty complicated. So a lot of stuff is really daunting and new, and that's a new terror that I didn't feel the first time around. But the things you learn, you get it on the page. Someone said to me the other day, "Who's your writer on set?" And I go, "We don't have a writer on set. We never have a writer on set. Never. But the director's on set and the script is there. Everyone knows what they're doing by the time we show up. We know what we're doing."
No, they know what they're doing.
I just like that he's having to juggle schedules because he's bringing in legacy characters. I mean, you're going to see them. Bale will show up, right? They're going to Yavin.
Yeah, almost
Definitely
certainly.
to see Bale. I wonder if they'll try and throw a young Leia in there again, a teenage Leia.
She would almost be New Hope Leia in season 2, right?
She'd be right about that age.
Yeah.
Especially later in the season, she would be that age.
Yeah, I wonder what he means with the schedule. I mean, it's implying like, are we bringing in some big dogs
Well,
here?
and you could always, like you said, the ghost crew if they're on staff at another location.
Sure.
If you want to even film a conversation between just Ahsoka and Bale, you could. I would hope not, in a sense. I want to keep her out of the project for some
Well,
reason.
I again, she's a character that kind of makes sense. The Fulcrum agent, the first Fulcrum agent, according to her.
Agent Callus.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential here.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't want it to be, as much as I like some of the idea of these characters showing up. Yeah, Krennic, I think, is another pretty much given.
Or even Galen Erso.
Yeah, again, goodness gracious.
There's
yeah.
so
yeah,
many.
those are some actors who might be harder to get them flexed in with their schedules, I suppose, depending on what they're doing. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen and.
Yeah, but I don't think we have to worry about Felicity because she should already be in jail.
No, I don't think she's going to be.
She'll be in jail at that point.
Yeah.
Because she's ready right now, close to the point where she would have left Saw. Or he would have left her, I suppose is the correct term.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess when you really start thinking about it, if they're going to bring in some of these actors, yeah, it might be kind of.
It's going to be a hectic schedule. A lot of the viewers, we all know that not only is Tony Gilroy working on the project, but his brothers, Dan and John, are on the series as well. Dan is one of the writers, and John is an editor. He also did the editing on Rogue One. So Collider asked Tony Gilroy how he convinced his brothers to join him on this second Star Wars project. He says, "No, I mean, look, it's a different commitment. Danny, the writer, comes to the writer's room for 5 days and he writes his scripts, then he goes off, talks to me on the phone. John Gilroy is needing to go to London on Sunday and he'll be there for 2 years. He's my hostage there. He's there every minute.
What are brothers for?
So for Johnny, it's a 5-year commitment, like me, but he has to live there the whole time. And for Danny, he can cavalierly go on and do whatever he wants to do, so it's a little different."
The joys of being the writer. Like, yeah, I threw something together, now
Well,
I'm
in
on my
fact,
way.
he doesn't care about having the writer on set as long as he's got the scripts. So, yeah.
Well,
Meanwhile,
it's easy to get a hold of the writer when he's your brother,
editing.
too. Yeah. Jeez. That's a power family right there. You got the writer, the director, the editor. They could just form their own
Tony
film
Gilroy is
studio.
a writer as well.
Yeah, just take over everything.
Gilroy X3, the studio name.
Do they have kids? Can we get them into Star Wars young and make sure they're Gilroy, the next generation? I'm on board.
Gilroy also confirmed, as previously reported, all the writers from the first season, including his brother, are returning for the second with the addition of Tom Bissell. He says Tom is really cool, really interesting, versatile, good writer, but also a very, very, very big Star Wars fan, which we really wanted to make sure we had another pro because we're going into Rogue One and we're going to Yavin, and then we're going into places where eventually we really need to weave our way back to the source. So Tom came in, and he's been great. So he got some episodes too.
Yeah, we got 2 episodes left of season 1, and I can't wait for season 2 now.
I know. it's sad that we're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just going to be starting filming, so gotta wait.
And take your time. Take your time. No rush. But rush.
One of Andor's most acclaimed qualities is how the series has effectively juggled several ongoing plot threads, characters, and locations. So they asked him if he was ever hesitant about choosing this ambitious narrative structure for the series. He said, "Oh man, I wasn't the only one. I had a whole bunch of people staring at me like, what the F am I doing?" I mean, no, I don't know where the moment, honest to God, because it's just been going on. First there was a whole lead up, and then I went there to prep all winter, and I had some scripts together. We had a room, we knew the shape of the show, but the other scripts weren't perfect, and those guys were gone, and then I was going to direct, and then COVID hit. And quite honestly, COVID really saved the show, because that stall really gave everybody a chance to reset and go, oh my God, can we do this? And it gave a chance to retailor the scripts for everything we were going to do. It also pulled me away from being a director, so I could do the other work of making the show. COVID saved the day.
That's a weird thing to say, but all right.
One of the interesting story decisions they made is going all the way back to Cassian's childhood to show his struggle to survive since his earliest days. And they asked him why he chose to go flashback to when he was so young.
Yeah.
Gilroy says, again, this goes to my very same thing with building of the prison and whatever. The first thing is, I would really like to explain his accent. Just deal with it. If he's going to be from Ferrix, or is he going to be from anywhere, why does he have this accent? Well, I want to deal with that, so sketch that out for a couple of hours, and one thing leads to the next, and I wanted to enhance the source of his rage. I wanted to enhance the sense of his exile. I wanted to enhance his fundamental, almost pre-memory hatred of authority, and the institutions that destroyed his homeworld. It comes from that. But in the very first moment in front of us, I looked at it and said, what am I doing about his accent? So it all started with, he has an accent, how do I explain it? And then he goes, if he deep dives into it, he can go, well, Cassian says he's been in the fight since he's been 6. We don't know what fight he's talking about. He's not talking about in a war. He's fighting against authority, fighting against the exile, fighting against struggling to survive.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
It does. He doesn't say I've been fighting a war since I was 6. I've been in this fight.
Yeah,
the fight for freedom, essentially.
For freedom, the fight to struggle to survive in his eyes. Right. They say, film and TV production present their own sets of challenges when it comes to these massive projects like Andor. He did his best to make use of the limitations that he had in improving the script. He says, we've had some budgetary things along the way. When we had COVID restrictions at one point, I think the original conception for Aldhani was going to be a couple of thousand people showing up there. I think they were going to do that from the beginning. And then we couldn't because of COVID, and it got more interesting. A lot of times, I don't want to say all the time, because then everyone puts you in an all the time box, but most of the time, the solves to the problem end up being better. Limitations are good. The problem you solve pushes you deeper in, and so to make the Aldhani culture to be so diminished on its last legs, and it's like the end of the road, made it better in a weird way. But there's other things along the way. There's things we can't afford to do. I'm in the middle of changing something right now that was completely written and built out of something that we cannot afford to do. I think the solve is an improvement in a way. I do.
No, I actually think the Aldhani being down to their last, 100 people showing up when it used to be this massive thing every 3 years for the whole culture. I think that's more powerful than...
It does, because the solve was we can't get all these people on set, so... the Empire drove these people down so that even they're giving up on their culture and their traditions.
It shows how they're killing their culture.
I agree that it was way better. I can't imagine all those people showed up.
Yeah,
that makes the escape easier, but this way we're showing really much more of the brutality of the Empire, which I totally approve of in this case.
No, I agree.
All right, last segment of the day. New this week in Star Wars, etc. Wednesday, Andor Episode 11. Moving into the last arc of Season 1. Exciting. I can't wait to see where they're going to go from here, what questions are going to be lingering into Season 2.
Yeah, it's curious to see what gets wrapped up and what is going to carry on, if you will.
For comics, we have Dr. Aphra, number 26, Han Solo and Chewbacca, number 7, and Hidden Empire, number 1, where they're finally going to go against the Emperor, I think.
Yeah, the third part of their big comic book series here is beginning. Yeah.
And then on Thursday, for patrons and Discord members, we do have voice chat where we were talking all things Andor.
Yep.
And playing games and doing whatever else we do.
All right, well, that is all we got for you this time, so do take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of this news. How excited are you for Season 2 of Andor coming someday? Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.